It's time for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson. Only on 102.9 CHTM, your radio station.
Good morning and welcome to this January 18th edition of City Beat here on 102.9 CHTM. My name is Stuart Walter and my guest this morning is Mayor Dennis Fenske.
Good morning.
Let's start off by talking about City Council. There was something new at the last council meeting. There was a quarterly report from Inspector Kevin Lewis, the chief ranking officer at the RCMP detachment here in Thompson. Could you talk about how the report came about? I know you mentioned it a bit during the council meeting.
Sure. This is an initiative of the Provincial Municipal Justice Advisory Committee, which I chair on behalf of the Association of Manitoba Municipalities. And basically, it's made up of communities. There are 22 communities in Manitoba, outside of Winnipeg and Brandon, that have RCMP contracts. And the City of Thompson has the largest contract. So where the initiative came from was that each inspector or representative of the RCMP was providing various reports to the mayor and council and public safety committees and such in each community that was in a different format. So our initiative, and this is a Manitoba-led initiative, is that the first couple pages of the report should be consistent across the 22 contracted communities. And so working with the RCMP and AMM, we've developed this new format, and Inspector Lewis presented the first format of this at the last meeting, and we'll be doing so each quarter. We still will continue having representation from the RCMP at each of our monthly public safety meetings, where they will represent the statistics for that current month. But quarterly, we will summarize those and summarize the initiatives of the RCMP from a perspective of community policing. So it's more consistent reporting for each community that has the contract. It's easier for the RCMP representatives to provide the information that communities are looking for. And if there's change in representatives, whether it be the inspector level or mayor or council or administration, at least the reports will stay consistent.
And then Councillor Beyer asked Inspector Lewis about the impact of the CSOs, as it's often a topic brought up during general inquiries, and you had an update on the funding.
For sure, and from our perspective, we had a 2-year pilot program with the province of Manitoba that expired May 25th of 2017, and our council committed to the end of 2017 to continue funding while we discussed with the province an additional funding, an extension of funding for the CSOs. That has now concluded, and we have a commitment from the province of Manitoba to contribute a one-time payment of $125,000 in 2018 moving forward, and then post-2018 the City of Thompson will be responsible for the cost of the CSOs. And I just want to mention and remind everyone that the CSO staff are all city employees. They're not a contract outside of the City of Thompson. They are part of the workforce of the City of Thompson.
One of the resolutions that was passed, it had the longest debate of any of the resolutions, was to do with the contribution agreement with controlled entities. What does that mean? I understand it, but I'm not sure a lot of the listeners do. I mean, what is a controlled entity?
Yeah, so basically with the change in accounting principles for municipalities, PSAC was basically a set of rules that were applied to all municipalities in accounting principles. And one of them is that where we fund a entity and we have council representation on the board, they are defined as a controlled entity. And so we fund them through agreements, which basically outlines the delivery of service that they will provide and the amount of funding that the City of Thompson will provide to them. All of the controlled entities receive other funding other than the City of Thompson, but for the City of Thompson's accounting purposes, we need to have the controlled entities under a contribution agreement that's identified, that can be audited, and is part of our financial statements.
Once again, this is another one that is apparently an annual resolution before council, and there was seemed confusion during the discussion. Could you explain what the resolution means?
The resolution, as you said, it's a housekeeping resolution that we have to do annually for our own purposes in regards from an accounting records perspective. So the contribution agreement expires each year, and so we have to reinstitute by resolution. The City of Thompson can only act by resolution or bylaw, so we have to reinstitute the resolution. The funding isn't finalized until the final budget is submitted and passed, but in the meantime, the entity still needs to operate. So similar to providing a resolution to approve estimates for our own operating budget, because we operate from January 1st to December 31st, and our budget isn't passed till normally. Well, legally we don't have to have it passed till May 15th, but we try to get in earlier than that. We still have to function as of January 1st. So these resolutions allow entities to function as of January 1st, receive their first quarter of payments, and if there is a reduction or an increase in payments throughout the 4 payments that are made in the year, then it's adjusted in the last payment. But this requirement is to ensure that the controlled entities can continue to operate as a legal entity.
One of the other resolutions passed was to approve to basically renew the membership for Thompson in the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Listeners by now would probably be familiar with what AMM is. Could you explain? I just said what it's the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. Could you explain what it is and why it's important to be a member?
Sure. So the AMM, the Association of Manitoba Municipalities, is the provincial lobby group for municipalities in Manitoba. The FCM, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, is the federal national lobby group for municipalities across Canada. So as a municipality in Canada, we pay a membership and they lobby on behalf. An example of successful lobbying that the FCM has had with the federal government is the result of the gas tax and the gas tax agreement that has extended over many years. That was a result of FCM lobbying the federal government to go to a longer funding format as opposed to shorter terms, which will allow municipalities across Canada to plan their capital projects well in ahead, understanding that they will get consistent, confirmed gas tax revenues coming to their municipality.
What is the FCM Legal Defense Fund? It's a part of that resolution that is optional, I understand.
Yeah, so as a member, we pay a membership fee, and part of that membership fee goes to what's called the FCM Legal Defense Fund. So if the FCM needs to take a legal position on behalf of municipalities across Canada, then all the members across Canada contribute to that legal cost. So basically, again, they're lobbying either the federal government on our behalf, or they are taking a legal position and require legal resources to fight a position, and so all municipalities across Canada that are members of FCM, through their membership, contribute to the FCM Legal Defense Fund.
Moving on from City Council, if anyone's driven by where it used to be the interior end, they can see the structure is now down and being hauled away. There's a front loader there putting into trucks. Is there any update on the cause of the fire?
Not to my knowledge. My understanding is, as you're correct, they are removing the debris and hauling it away. The inspectors in the Fire Commissioner's office have been here, but I'm not aware of a final report yet.
And then is there an update on snow removal?
Absolutely. There are lots of snow piles around town. There's narrow streets that we are trying to address in the priority 1, 2, and 3 order. And so again, trying to ask patience for the City of Thompson residents, vehicle operators, to ensure that they drive to the conditions of the road. For instance, Thompson Drive is normally 2 lanes in both directions. In some cases, it's a little narrow, so don't try to squeeze between the snowbank and another vehicle. Have some patience and just go to the 1 lane. In the school areas, especially, make sure that you're aware of the children playing. The higher snow piles are attracting them for sliding, and by accident they may slide into oncoming traffic, so be aware of that. And just on an individual basis, if you have a large snowbank at the end of your driveway, which I would say 99% of the people do, you may want to change your driving habits. One of the things you can do is to back into your driveway instead of drive in front first. When you're exiting your driveway, if you back in first, it'll provide you with better visual clearance and knowing what's on the street as you inch out into the street. So the biggest advice I can provide is patience. There's no place that we can't get to in Thompson within 5 minutes, so take the extra couple minutes and be safe and arrive undamaged.
This is a question that was submitted by a listener. Is there any update on the liquor store? There's still plans to build a new one by the City Centre Mall, as the old store is very outdated.
Yes, the plans are still moving forward. My understanding is construction will happen in the spring. As soon as they can get into the site, I would think that would be sometime in June.
Moving on, we have a very, very busy weekend at the TRCC. There's a lot of hockey going on.
Absolutely. Hockey, as you mentioned, is the theme for this weekend. The 26th annual Prince Bershide Memorial Tournament starts tomorrow at noon. AA final Doug Source for Sports Cup goes Sunday at 11:45. The A final of Prince Bershide Cup goes on Sunday at 1:45. There are 11 teams from Thompson in the area. 2 from Thompson, 2 from Flin Flon, 2 from the Pas, 2 from Cross Lake, 1 from Nelson House to Tasqueyac and Swan River. And then we move up a level to the Midget AA King Miners. The games are versus Norway House North Stars tomorrow and Saturday. And then come down a level to Bantam AAA, Norman Wolves, Pembina Hawks, Valley Hawks are in town. Games are Saturday and Sunday in the GB. So make sure you come down to the TRCC, bring a cup of coffee or hot chocolate and enjoy the games. There'll be lots of fun and the kids will enjoy having you there.
And then finally, the Winter Games. They're coming up really fast.
Absolutely. We had a very successful weekend in regards to the storefront in the City Centre Mall, and I want to thank the City Centre Mall operators and owners for providing that space. We gathered another 30 to 40 volunteers. We're well over the 500 volunteers that have been signed up. There's plenty of room to continue to sign up either online through the Manitoba Game site or through thompson.ca, or you can go to the YWCA and they'll assist you for their Skills for Success program, which will allow you to register online. And the storefront is open from Saturday from 10 till 4 on Saturdays, and there's lots of merchandise, hoodies, water bottles, shirts to order. They're really good quality. I bought some last weekend. They're excellent quality, nice choices for colors and sizes, so make sure you support the games by providing or buying the merchandise.
Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning, Mayor Fenske.
Thank you.
If you have any questions you'd like answered next week, email them in advance to CHTMnews@arcticradio.ca. For City Beat here on 102.9 CHTM, I'm Stuart Walter.